What's going on, ladies and gents? Before we start off with the video, I want to remind everybody content creator program is still going on for this season. It's almost ending, so make sure you come and join. Hit that support button, guys. It's absolutely free. Get yourselves some free codes. It is linked in every single description of every single video, plus pinned in every single comment section. So let's talk about our boy Liu. There's a lot to talk about here, a lot to discuss, and there's things you guys need to know about this character. So first off, summons. How did it go? So my free to play, I did go to A5. I'm completely broken. You guys can see I had 11,480 summons or essence stones left. I pretty much went bankrupt. I had 120, I think, plus 34 tickets or 44 tickets, and now I'm down to almost nothing. So we did get to A5. It took me 500 summons exactly to get him there. And on the pay to win side, I went to A10 and 610. So way better results on the pay to win side of things, but free to play, these are the results. Now, a couple things you need to know about Liu. First off, he is broken. Yes, he is. There's a couple broken things. When I mean broken, I'm talking about both good and bad. So broken as in he's probably the best DPS character in the game. Bar none. I don't think anyone's going to get close anytime soon until the new buster comes out. So give it a month. But in terms of broken, I also mean in regards to the way his auto plays. I'm going to talk more about that very soon and why you got to be careful and why you may want to consider playing manual, especially in Guild Boss. Speaking of Guild Boss, please be very careful. Right now, they are banning people who are hitting 3 trillion damage. So if you're somebody who's a high-end player who can do that, avoid Guild Boss right now. It seems like their security's picking it up and people are being banned for it. So just be very, very mindful and careful of that. Okay, guys? So you guys know how this works already. If you haven't checked out his skills or what he's all about, you guys can check out the last live stream we talked about, breakdown of his full skills. Things to know about him that's important though is the fact that he is pretty much going to spam ultimates and skills non-stop. So this is how it works, okay? His ultimate skill, when it's up, you essentially want to spam basic skill 2, core attack, basic skill 1, ultimate skill, and then repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Literally that exact same format. Here's the problem that's broken. You're going to see this in Guild Boss. If you run auto versions of this character on any mode, he doesn't actually use his ult very often, which he should be doing all the time. He actually ends up just spamming his skills non-stop. So his ult actually amplifies every skill that he has, plus pretty much makes him do way more damage. So you essentially need to go manual mode to make this damage work. Now I'll show you guys some examples here of some manual versus auto. So let me quickly find you guys a little bit of that damage and you guys can make some sense out of this with me. Now it's very important to remember a couple things also that to note about him. I found that during my testing that the Surtur damage from the actual AP set was not as good as the poison set. So I think there needs to be either a little fix or a couple different buffs to happen for Surtur to do better. But if you want to do really good on Guild Boss, you need a really high defense percentage. Anyways, we try to map them up pretty closely. Seems like poison came out on top every single time. So poison set is the best set currently for him for my runs. Surtur was close, but it was still enough of a difference to make, you know, to make me want to say, hey guys, it's time to perhaps buff this a little bit more than what it is right now, because right now it's not doing great and I feel like it's almost on life support. Okay, so that's a very important thing to remember. Also, real quick, for cores, guys, remember that percentages for cores still are more. Flat stats are better right now for the characters, but they fixed that part of it. But when it comes down to attack percentages, you still want to go attack percentages. The best core for him right now is actually going to be this core right here, or the crit core. Yes, he does have a lot of crit, but if you're running him with a little bit lower, you may want to put this one on. It is the recommended one for him, but I think this one is still better. Whenever using his ultimate skill, which he does spam quite a bit, his crit damage increases by 20% for 8 seconds. So this is actually the best crit one, but again, you want to have percentage for attack for him. For cores, percentage is still better, guys, when it comes down to overall damage or overall TP and increase, but when it comes down to the armor, it's not okay. It's not the best anymore. So here's some results real quick, just so you guys are aware. So this was doing just automatic ults, right? Just you see the numbers here. They're not great, right? They're not great. They're 414. I got up to like 680 at one point as well too on auto. Whenever you switch that up and you start doing manual ults, the numbers get a little bit more consistent and a bit better. We were able to hit about 480, 490. 780, 790, up to 800, almost up to a trillion damage running him on manual. So the reason why this happens is he doesn't actually do his ultimate often enough. He doesn't spam it, which he should be essentially spamming it to make everything else work out a lot better for him. And it's a little bit of a problem that he has. Now, when it comes down to team guys, you're going to want to have him in team 1 specifically because you need to manually alt to make him work the way he's supposed to work. If you put him in team 2, you can't do that. So you're going to want to have 2 other members with him for guild boss. Now, when it comes down to guild boss, it's different than it's going to be for anything else. So for guild boss, you want to run Essel and Gina with him. That way he gets all the buffs, both from Gina's weapons as well as her passives, as well as Gina's buffs as well too. And then Liu will be your 3rd member. And on the team 2, you want to have Christopher Reed. You want to have Kanae or Yusuyon. Ideally, Yusuyon is a way better option of the 2 of them. And then you want to have Yuki if you have Yuki. So that's going to be the 6-man team there for guild boss. All right. And again, you want to manually spam everything you possibly can to make him work. Now, when it comes down to rotations, guys, we kind of did talk about it briefly, but I will jump in. Also, do not forget to do co-op training. If you finally got him, you're going to need to make sure you boost all of this up to max to make him actually be viable. Because if you don't have enough books for doing this, I would honestly recommend resetting like all of it and just restarting this section and making sure that everyone here gets what they need in terms of getting the proper buffs from the co-op training, guys. This is a super important one. If you don't actually end up doing this, it's going to end up being a pretty major problem for you, and you're not going to have the amount of damage you want to have from Liu. So very important, guys, to make sure that they get what they need from this specifically. Okay, so very, very important to do this one. Do not forget it. A lot of people will, because it's a new section that doesn't exist for anybody else but him. Make sure you get that done. All right, now let's go into the rotation, guys, and talk about rotation real quick. Now, when you go into co-op training, all right, guys, so the team you want to use for Liu in this single player modes, any single player modes really, is going to be Gina, Reed, Liu, and then I use Bestie here because his crit is just insane as it is anyways. Beru and Serbi. This can be switched up if you want more defense reduction. You can put in Rose here as well too. And then of course Rock Passa. The reason why you use Rock Passa is because he gives the buffs to the Buster class, so you want to definitely use him. This is on my free to play account, folks. So let's talk about rotation real quick. Very straightforward stuff. Really is. Okay, so first off with Gina, you start off with your basic skill 1 into the core attack, into your ultimate, and then into skill 2, and then QT right out. All right, and then you go right there, QT out. Now Reed, you go skill 2, skill 1 into core attack, again skill 2, skill 1 into your ultimate as soon as you can. There it is. And then you bring in Liu here, and Liu's pretty straightforward, guys. Same rotation for him technically as Reed. Go into ultimate, skill 2, core attack, skill 1, ultimate, right? You'll see here. And then you essentially go back again to skill 2, core attack, skill 1, right? There's the core attack into skill 1 and spam, right? And then when the burst button comes up during overload, you just burst. Essentially the way the rotation will work. Okay, so pretty straightforward stuff. All right, guys, so when it comes down to damage for Liu, there's a couple different things you can do here, right? Number one, this is the setup for the auto gameplay. So when it came down to auto gameplay, when it came down to the searcher setup, I got 525 million damage with him, which was similar to Jinu's. Again, I just ran it on auto, guys. There's no setups here that was anything different. I didn't want to exceed the number to get myself banned. So this is the pay to win account. So the 525 was the number that I hit here when it came down to Liu on auto mode. So let me show you guys a little bit different auto mode when it came down to the different sets. So this is the searcher set here, and then I'm going to show you guys the poison set in a second. And then you guys can see over here, this is actually the poison set. So 653 versus the other number that you just saw. So very, very different in numbers. It seems like this seems to be the better overall set at the moment. The reason why is because it's got different finishes in it with percentages, gives you better ultimate, etc, etc, etc. Now, if you did this manually, the numbers look way different. Like, we're getting crazy numbers, and I'm talking about numbers that are extremely high. It's the point where like people are getting banned, right? And I've tried it before. The numbers look a little bit more like almost like this. I'll show you guys real quick here, and it's a little bit daunting because like you don't want these, like these are the kind of numbers you can pull off here. So this will kind of get you banned right now. So be very careful, guys, of doing stuff like this. So just things to avoid. So definitely doable. That's the manual way. You just ultimate spam the whole time, and you'll do insane amounts of damage through it. Now remember, for this guild boss, you specifically need percentage. So make sure if you are someone who's planning to do this, you just focus on getting your percentages up in terms of defense pen. Try to get up to 50%, and then the rest of it is just straight up spamming. I think you need roughly about like maybe about 10,000 crit, and then you're good to go. All right, guys, that's pretty much it in terms of stats. So you definitely want to do for this specifically, you definitely want to do manual mode, team 1, and you don't want to put them on team 2. The problem is also, keep in mind, when you put manual mode, team 2 doesn't do any ultimates at all. So you want to just, you know, essentially just try to push as much damage as you can with him, because he'll do most of it with Jinu. All right, guys, let's jump into some gameplay. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.